Let's stop thinking about memory as something that just fades. Let's think of it more like a really complex operating system. And when it starts to glitch, it isn't random. It's actually sending out error messages. Today, we're going to learn how to decode those messages and really understand what our brain might be trying to tell us. So let's dive in. Okay, we have all been there, right? You walk into a room with a clear purpose, you stop, and poof. The thought is just gone. You have no idea what you came in for. It's probably one of the most universal memory glitches we all experience, and while it's usually just a temporary blip in the system, it's the perfect place for us to start this conversation. So here's the whole point of what we're talking about today. It's learning to tell the difference between the everyday noise of a busy brain and a real signal that something might be wrong. It's kind of like tuning an old radio. You have to learn to filter out all the static to hear the actual broadcast that you need to be paying attention to. This right here. This draws a really clear line in the sand. So over on the left, you've got the noise, the normal system lags. Forgetting a name, but then it pops into your head later, that's just your brain's search function taking a little extra time. It's annoying for sure, but it's normal. But then look at the right side. These are the signals. Forgetting information you just learned, completely, or constantly misplacing things and having no ability to retrace your steps to find them. See the difference? These aren't just lags. They could be signs of a real disruption in how the brain is writing and retrieving its data. And to be perfectly clear, when we talk about these really significant signals, we're often talking about the possibility of a specific medical condition. Alzheimer's is not just being really forgetful. As the Alzheimer's Association defines it, it is a progressive brain disease. It's a fundamental problem with the hardware itself. And I want to really stress this. It is absolutely not a normal part of aging. All right, so we've talked about the symptoms, the user experience. Now let's pop the hood and take a look at the brain's actual hardware to understand what this system glitch is all about. So here's a look at a healthy brain's standard operating system. Think of each lobe as a specialized processor. You've got the frontal lobe, that's your CEO, handling all the planning and organizing. And the temporal lobe, that's your massive memory and language database. In a healthy system, all these parts are working together just seamlessly. And this is what can happen when the hardware itself starts to fail. Look at the two images. On the left, a healthy brain. On the right, a brain with severe Alzheimer's. You don't need to be a neurologist to see the difference here. That dramatic shrinkage, the massive loss of tissue. This isn't just a software bug you can patch. This is physical degradation of the processor itself. So the big question is, how do you know if your own system might be showing some of these early signs of degradation? Well, we're going to run a quick diagnostic. We're using 3 key questions pulled straight from a clinical tool used by the Indian Health Service. So think of this as running a quick systems check on yourself. Okay, first question. Are you forgetting things that just happened more often? And we're not talking about what you had for lunch last Tuesday. This is about short-term data processing, like repeating the same question over and over again. It suggests there might be a problem with the brain's save function. Second diagnostic question. Is it getting a lot harder to finish a task that used to be easy? This one gets at your executive function. When a familiar, complex recipe suddenly feels impossible, or managing your bills becomes a huge struggle, it can be a signal that the brain is having trouble processing information in the right order. And the third question, are you ever unsure of where you are, even in a very familiar place? Look, getting lost in a new city, that's one thing, but becoming disoriented on a route you drive or walk every single day, that's a totally different kind of system error. It could be a glitch in the brain's internal GPS. Okay, I need to be crystal clear about this. According to the source, answering yes to any of those 3 questions is considered a significant red flag. Now, it's not a diagnosis, of course not, but it is a clear, compelling signal that it's time to schedule a full evaluation with a doctor. And it doesn't stop with those 3 questions. The National Institute on Aging points to other critical system errors, things like consistently making poor judgments, suddenly having real problems taking care of monthly bills, losing track of the date or even the season, and, importantly, noticeable changes in mood or personality. So you can see these aren't just memory issues. They show the problem can affect the entire operating system. Sometimes these signals point to an intermediate stage called mild cognitive impairment, or MCI. A good way to think of it is like the check engine light on your car's dashboard. It's a warning. It's more serious than just normal age-related forgetfulness, but it's not yet severe enough to really interfere with daily life, and identifying it is absolutely crucial. And here's why that check engine light is so important. While it's true not everyone with MCI goes on to develop dementia, the Indian Health Service source we've been using notes that approximately 70% of people diagnosed with MCI do. That's a huge number. It makes MCI a major risk factor and a really critical window for monitoring what's going on. So, if you've been listening and you've recognized some of these signals, what's the path forward? Well, it's pretty simple. It's time to consult the expert technician for your brain's hardware, your doctor. This quote from the Alzheimer's Association is probably the single most important takeaway from our entire conversation today. It is direct, it is unambiguous. If you notice any of them, don't ignore them. Schedule an appointment with your doctor. These error messages are not something to just dismiss or hope they go away. That first step is the most critical one. Our sources also offer a really powerful piece of practical advice. When you go to that appointment, don't go alone. Bring a trusted family member or a close friend. Sometimes the person experiencing these changes might not be fully aware of them or might downplay them. Having an outside observer's perspective is just invaluable for getting an accurate evaluation. So we'll leave you with this question, which is really the heart of what we've talked about. Is your brain's operating system just lagging a bit, or is it sending a persistent error report that really needs attention? The goal here isn't to create worry. It's to empower you with knowledge. Because when you can learn to tell the difference between a simple system lag and a real signal, you can take control and make sure that if your brain is sending a message, it gets the attention it deserves.